Hiya, welcome back. Normally, Python code is executed one line after the other. One line is executed and the next line is executed and so on and so forth. Sometimes we want to execute the same block of code over and over again. Now, Python has various ways to repeat lines of code, and that is what we're going to cover in this lesson. Let's start with a quick review of the last lesson. We started with the if statement, the if-else statement, and then the if-elif-else statement. All of these made use of logical expressions where the result of an operation is true or false. In today's lesson, we're going to learn to repeatedly execute a block of code until a certain condition is satisfied. This is called a loop. There are while loops, for loops, and nested loops. First, please go to REPL and create a new REPL and name it pgd6 loops. A while loop executes a set of conditions as long as the condition is true. So, a while loop can execute code forever unless the condition is set to false. Every time a loop executes a statement, it's called an iteration. Here's the syntax. And here's an example. While less than 6 is the expression, print I is the body. Let's walk through it together. I equals 1 is the starting point. So I is less than 6, that means the condition is true. So Python will execute the statement print I for as long as it's true. To control how many times Python will loop through the code, we add a counter at the end. I plus equals 1. The while loop will end when the condition is false. So how many iterations will that take? Well, we learned that Python will continue to iterate until the condition becomes false. If it's always true, then this would be an infinite loop. Python would go on executing forever and ever, which is a super long time. That's bad. But we can stop the loop even if the loop condition is true using a break statement. Here's an example. At the start variable equals 1. The condition variable is less than n is true. So Python executes the statement print variable. In the second iteration, the variable equals 2. The condition variable is less than n is true. So Python executes the statement print variable. In the third iteration, variable equals 3. The condition variable is less than n is true. So Python executes the statement print variable. But the condition if variable equal 3 is met. So the break statement is executed and the loop is broken. Another type of loop is the for loop. For loops are very useful when you want to go over a list or string and check its elements one by one. Imagine you want to go over a string of letters and print each of them separately. You can do this using a for loop. In this example code, we iterate, that is, go through each letter of the string hello world and print the letter. The loop automatically ends when it reaches the end of the string. Here's another example. This time using a list from our online fruit store. What do you think is going to happen here? How will Python execute the code? Here's another example with a string. Remember, strings are iterable objects. They contain a sequence of characters. So you can loop through a string. If you look at the for loop syntax, you'll see one part is the sequence, that is, the list or string that you want to iterate over. There's also another part, the temporary variable in which the for loop places the value of each element. In our example, banana is the sequence, and x is the temporary variable. Here's another type of loop. A nested loop is a loop inside of a loop. The inner loop will be executed one time for each iteration of the outer loop. Let's look at the syntax. List 1 is the outer loop, while list 2 is the inner loop. The list 2 will be executed one time for each iteration of list 1. Let's say we have a list of fruits that needs some adjectives to describe them. We can use a nested loop to iterate through both lists and print out descriptions with the fruits. How could you use this in your game? Give it some thought. Maybe a list of magical items and their special powers? All right, nice work today. I'll see you again soon.